Hello and welcome once again to What's Out There, the paranormal podcast from the Out There Paranormal Group. And telling you stories tonight, we have myself, Nigel.
And myself, Juliette. And of course, Izzy the ghost cat in the background.
She's here. She's busy trying to get treats out of a mouse on the floor at the moment. So that'll keep her occupied for a few minutes, I think. But yeah, no doubt she'll be ringing her bell later. So... last time we were celebrating the festive season, and this time we're looking into a brand new year.
We are indeed.
So 2023, and this is going to be our first podcast of the year. Oh, honestly, we've been out for a meal again, haven't we? This is part of the course with us doing this podcast, isn't it, George? What do? I'll go on yours. Let's go out and have something to eat, or we'll end up eating Indian or drinking wine.
We treat, don't we?
We do.
Have a treat when you come over.
We do,
it's a treat.
and it's marvellous.
Yeah,
and then we get on and do our podcast. So,
without further ado,
let's talk about the subject for this podcast. And I was thinking back, it's sort of cold and windy and wet and horrible, and I was thinking back to the halcyon days of the summer when we could go down to the beach.
Oh, yeah.
And we know how much we love the beach.
Absolutely love the beach with the waves crashing gently against the shore, kissing the sand.
What are we going to say?
The sun
then?
is shining and the seagull. Oh, yeah, seagulls are very
Nicking your chips.
But it's just, we all love a good trip to the beach.
And we're really fortunate here in North, like we said before,
Yeah.
we've got so much coastline.
We have, and it's really nice.
It is,
actually.
fabulous beaches.
I know people sort of laugh about Norfolk and things like that, but we do have some stunning beaches here.
We do.
We're quite fortunate.
Yes, we are very fortunate indeed.
And
So-
of course the seal colony at
Horsey, yeah.
Horsey Gap.
They've got all the
So-
little pups out at the moment.
Yeah, all the babies are out,
Yeah.
but they have got the guardians out to protect them as well, because it gets
Yes.
very busy down there.
And
those-
honestly, people sitting their children on them.
oh, children, dogs. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
You think to yourself, why? Do you not understand?
Just stand back and observe them from a distance.
Exactly.
And, just respect our wildlife. for
enjoy
goodness
the
sake.
spectacle.
Anyway, that's my nag over.
We tried. We were off on a tangent there, weren't we?
Yeah, well, that's me. I'm
Off
good
on a
at that.
seal tangent. But anyway, we shared some spooky stories from the coast before.
Yeah, we did.
We've got loads of them.
Yeah, this is part 2, isn't it?
It is Ghosts of the Coast Part 2. So we have some more tales to tell you. These have all got a little bit of a common attachment. Because they all... well, let's see if you can sort of pick up the attachment that we actually have. So first off, we've got a tale from Weybourne, which is a little further north between Sheringham and Cromer. And we're going to work our way down the beach. And we're actually going to sneak over the border
Are we allowed?
into Suffolk. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Okay, keep it secret.
Exactly. So first of all, we've got a tale from Weybourne Beach, and I think this is very much your sort of story, Jules. So I'm going to let you tell this one, I think.
Alrighty, okay.
Okay.
So, Weybourne Beach. When the moon is full, a persistent whistling sound can be heard on Weybourne Beach. Some people have reported that once the whistling stopped, they saw the vague outline of a man believed to be the ghost of smuggler John Smythe. Now, according to the legend, one night when the moon was full, Smythe and his crew came to Weybourne to smuggle goods. Smythe left his crew to meet up with the daughter of the local inn's landlord, but said he would be back at a certain time. While he was away, the customs men got word of the smugglers and headed to Weybourne to catch them. Now, Smythe's crew found out about the customs men and knew they needed to leave. And when Smythe didn't return on time, they assumed he had been captured, so they began to row back to the ship. Now, the customs men didn't know the boat had left, so they hid in the sand dunes and waited for the smugglers. Smythe, whose rendezvous with the young lady lasted a little bit longer than expected, returned to the beach and saw the rowboat heading out in the distance. He started to whistle to get the crew's attention. Instead, the whistle caught the attention of the customs men and they came after him. Smythe decided to try and wade out towards the boat, hoping that his smuggling friends would turn back for him. But unfortunately, he did not know how to swim, and the tide was coming in fast. The customs men couldn't swim either, so they didn't go after him. So, what happened next will probably never be known, but somehow he must have lost his footing, or perhaps the current was so strong that it swept him off his feet. Whatever the reason, he disappeared below the waves and drowned. The last sight of John Smythe was his one remaining outstretched hand, trailing his body below. A body that was never to be recovered. Now, when the moon is full, he returns to the beach at Weybourne, whistling to try and get the attention of his crew so that they will come back and rescue him. But they never have.
That was an interesting tale, wasn't it?
Sad though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. The thing that got me was the fact that he didn't know how to swim. And you would think that these smugglers and sailors, but they didn't.
No, they really didn't.
So many of them didn't know how to swim. And to take that gamble and try and wade out to the boat in the hope they could get them to turn around and come back for him. So
the tides as well and the currents underneath the sea.
I was going to say, you've got no chance.
They change so quickly, don't they?
They certainly do.
Well?
I mean, the whole of our coastline is littered with instances where people have gone in, been swept away by the currents, and some of the beaches are really dangerous. Sea Pauling is a classic example. There's a riptide there, and that's caught a lot of people out. And it's really quite sad. When you go to the beach, you can see the plaques as you walk down the beach of remembrance of the people that have drowned there. So,
sad, isn't it?
It's creepy.
Where was it they were doing the cockling and the tide came in and they died?
Stewkey.
That's sad as well.
Stiffkey, as it's spelled. Yeah, when the girl was stuck out. We told that story in the first Ghost of
No,
the
I
Coast.
mean recently. Not the ghost one, because we've done that.
Recently,
some people...
Yeah, there was. I'm trying to think where there was. That was up further north, actually, up towards the Wash, wasn't it? But still on our sort of side of the coastline, yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But that's the problem, it's so easy to get caught in currents and try and figure out when the tides are coming in and when they're going out, because you can get stranded.
The beach is a very
careful.
dangerous place.
Yeah.
It can be a very dangerous place. Yeah. So
The
anyway,
next one.
Indeed. Oh, while we're still in Weybourne, Weybourne's got a really good museum for sad people like myself who like tanks and guns and stuff like that.
I'm sad as well then.
I know. You love it too, don't you?
I know. Thanks.
I know. Sorry. That sounded dreadful,
I
doesn't
know
it?
you're sad.
No, you're not
thanks for
sad.
that.
Oh.
My tragic life.
Now I feel really bad. Where was I? The Muckleborough collection
Yes,
is where
indeed,
I'm going.
the museum.
The museum, yeah. It was set up by a gentleman called Barry Savoury, and 1980s, I do believe he set the place up, and he's long since gone, but it's still there. But it has a collection of tanks and military vehicles, but it also has its own collection of spooks.
Oh, really? I didn't know
It does
that.
indeed, yeah. There's a few stories attached to it. In fact, a certain paranormal TV show who shall remain nameless, I think.
I think we all know who the most popular, one of the early TV
TV shows.
Not mentioning any names.
Yeah, we're not going to say anything.
Nigel might have mentioned on Twitter.
I might have actually let the cat out of the bag, but we're not going to say anything about it on our podcast. But they actually visited this location and investigated here. So it's quite interesting.
And I bet they had loads happen, just like they did in every single episode they produced, right?
Possibly. They possibly might have had a medium who got taken over by someone, and I think you know what we're talking about.
It wasn't Mary Loving Dick, was it?
It was not Mary Loving Dick, but it was
Mary
actually
loves
Mary.
Dick.
It was.
It wasn't at the Muckleborough place.
No, that wasn't there.
Was
No, thankfully, no. But he was. He actually. You know who we're talking about. He was taken over. He pretended. Sorry, that's an awful thing to say. He was taken over by the spirit of Barry Savoury, the guy that actually set the museum up.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of questionable.
Maybe not.
Who knows, indeed, yeah. The Muckleborough Collection itself is a military museum that was opened in 1988 and is sited on a former World War II anti-aircraft training camp at Weybourne, where we were saying it was. Staff at the museum have reported seeing unexplained spirit lights at night time, usually close to the old pillbox. Now, it's suggested that these lights might be the spirits of 6 ATS girls who died in that area. A lot of the anti-aircraft crews in World War II, especially on the home front, were women.
So what does ATS stand for?
I think it's Army Training Services, but I might be wrong.
Okay. It's just that I wasn't sure what ATS meant.
I think it's Army Training Services,
Okay.
but
Well, it would make sense if it was.
Yeah. It was a training camp for anti-aircraft. They used to have like drones and things that they'd sort of throw up like gliders, and they'd practice shooting those down and things. What happened was a gun crew for a standard anti-aircraft gun was 6. And these poor 6 girls were firing on the anti-aircraft guns, and one of the shells got stuck in the breech and exploded and killed all 6 of them.
Nasty. That's
Yeah,
horrible.
so they think these mysterious lights could be related to that incident. Okay, and in the museum itself, there's got lots of vehicles, and one of the vehicles I've got there is a Soviet T-34-85 tank. Okay, and that's said to be haunted. People have stood by and often heard the sound of the engine cooling down, making that sort of noise that engines make, but that engine's not been started for years. Okay, so it's not possible that it could be cooling down, and there's been significant temperature drops also experienced close to this tank as well.
That's interesting.
And people have said they've heard voices around it.
So it could be actually linked to the items within then?
It could actually be more likely to be
Yeah.
the vehicle itself rather than something that was actually in the museum before.
Interesting.
Whereas the ones outside by the pillbox, the lights, are more likely to be related to the poor girls that died there.
So, I mean, was there any sort of documented evidence of anything happening to that particular T-34 tank or not?
I don't know. I'd have to look that one up. I'm not sure.
Interesting to know.
Whether it saw combat or not, I don't know. But it would be interesting to find out if it was one that was sort of saw action in World War II, because it's a World War II tank.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. There has also been hundreds of reports of phantom footsteps, poltergeist activity, eerie groans, disembodied screams and shouting. The sounds of an iron gate slamming in the restaurant when there's no iron gate there.
Did there used to be one?
No, not as far as I know, which
weird.
is really odd, isn't it? Yeah. And
me.
strange movements have been heard in the artillery hall, which is one of the big areas that they have where sort of some of the exhibits are set out. And people often see unexplained shadows moving about. Okay. Particular hotspots are the office. This is Berry Savoury's old office, that's plagued by poltergeist phenomena, which included a picture mysteriously leaping off a wall. Where a certain chair is always left unoccupied, it is something of a cold spot, and the office dog refuses to go near it. And apparently, if people sort of sit in the chair or move it, then it gets moved back to where it was before. Footsteps are heard in the corridors, and in one of the old military ambulances, a man's voice has been heard screaming in agony.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so it sounds a really interesting place. The disappointing thing is, even though those people got in to investigate,
Yeah, well, they would, wouldn't they?
Joe Public can't get in to investigate.
Oh, that's not fair.
I know. I've been there. I've actually visited this museum, and we'll have to take you, Jules.
I'd
We'll
love
have
to
we'll
go.
have to go and
Yes,
visit.
please.
I know it's the sort of thing you'd love to see it anyway.
Yeah.
But you can get a sense of it because it is a really creepy place.
Do they allow you to touch any of the items or not?
You can touch the vehicles.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I
you
might
can.
pick
Yeah,
something
you can
up.
touch the tank. So you do your psychometry. Yeah.
Yeah.
On that's where you, for those of you who don't know what psychometry is, do you want to explain, Jules?
Well, psychometry is basically where it is said that you can touch an object and get feelings, images, sensations of something that's happened using that particular object. So I've picked things up from swords and knives, and I have actually been proven to be correct. But I find in my experience of psychometry for psychics and sensitives, it's a little bit hit and miss. Sometimes I can get all sorts of amazing things, and other times absolutely nothing. Even when there has been a past documented with a particular item, it doesn't always.
I remember we did Rougham that time.
Yep.
We went up there on the Sunday to have a look around, just to get our bearings before we did investigation. And
Yes.
you went into that Nissan hut where they had bits of the plane set out. and you touch that plane, it was a plane engine I think it had in there, wasn't it? And you really got a strange feeling from that. And then we went back on the night to investigate. The damn thing was locked and we couldn't get back in there, could we? It was so frustrating
I know.
because you really sensed something on that one. I remember that really
Hadn't
well.
people been killed in it or something?
Yeah, it was one of the ones.
That's what I'd thought. I'd picked up, and I didn't know.
You were saying that you got a sensation of
Burning.
somebody saying they wanted to land but they couldn't land.
Yeah.
And they kept going round and round and
That's
round.
right.
And that's exactly what happened with that plane.
Oh, word. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it. And I wanted to get you back in there to sort of do it again, but we couldn't on the night. So
Shame, wasn't it?
we're digressing again, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
But
indeed.
yeah, so Muckleborough, sadly, much as we'd love to investigate,
Yeah.
they don't tend to let people in these days.
We can ask.
But we can go and have a wander around.
We can
just
go
so you
and
can see.
wander around and
Yeah.
ask, and they'll probably tell us to Foxtrot Oscar.
Oh,
But,
yeah,
you
like
know.
they do, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's worth a look. Weybourne itself has got some really strangely named places.
Some sinister.
Indeed. So, yeah, the first one is a place called Dead Man's Hill. Okay, and according to legend, his hill straddles the boundary between Weybourne and Upper Sheringham, which is the next sort of little village along. And local legend says that it was gained this name because the victims of the Black Death in Weybourne were buried here in a mass grave.
Yeah, but is that a genuine, or is it like Tombland in Norwich where...
It could well be another... Oh, it is said. It's that classic
Yeah,
phrase that you get.
yeah.
You'll hear us saying a lot of that in this podcast. It is said. And a lot of it is folklore tales.
Well, yeah, because a lot of it you can't verify it
No,
if there's no
you can't prove
information
it.
or no
records
records
kept. Yeah,
So a lot
that's the
of it
problem.
is hearsay, and a lot of it is handed down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
There's also one called No Man's Friend, and this was known by locals as No Man's Friend, and it's the field to the west of Kelling, and it was said to cause those who worked on it to fall into a slough of despair from which they were unable to escape. Now, the story goes that once upon a time, a farmer, sane to all seeming in mind, sound in body, and flourishing in estate, walked out of his front door on a fine June morning, and resolutely treading the violas of No Man's Friend, he threw himself off the cliff and into the sea. Now, Weybourne itself is believed to take its name from the Old English.
Wow, yeah, how are we going to pronounce that one?
I don't know, Nigel.
Yeah, I always do this to you, don't I? Read this bit, George, because it's got a funny word in it I know that
Is
you can't
it
say.
Werg-Burner?
Werg-Burner. It's spelled W-E-A-R-G, so we think that's Werg, and Burner, B-U-R-N-A.
It means felon's stream, and suggests, somewhat gorily, that the area may have been a place where criminals were taken to be drowned. And criminals used to be executed by drowning, their hands tied behind their knees in rivers, tidal streams, or quagmires. They also used to do it on the beach, because we were talking about this.
That's right, yes, yeah. It was
They
something
used
they
to
did
quite often
do that, yeah.
stick them down in chains on the beach, wait for the tide
Wait
to
for
come
the
in.
tide to come in,
Horrible,
yeah.
isn't it?
Creepy.
But for periods in the Middle Ages, those who had the power of administering laws in their respective districts possessed such drowning pits.
So close to No Man's Friend lies the Quag, a marsh directly behind the shingle bank near Kelling Hard. These are all places near Weybourne, by the way. It could have been the site of medieval executions. Did an echo of what happened in the area remain ingrained in this piece of land for centuries?
I would think so.
Now, the interesting thing
Yeah.
with No Man's Friend is, like a lot of the Norfolk coast, it's gradually been eroded away and it's falling into the sea. Yeah. So has the curse of No Man's Friend fallen from up there down onto the beach, and does it remain there, or is it going to all be washed away by the tide?
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it is
actually.
indeed. Yeah, so that's slowly disappearing. So that curse may well go and be swept out to sea,
Or not.
or not, as the case may be.
Now, Cromer, you've all heard of Cromer, famous place for Cromer crabs.
Bit of
that we
Cromer
love.
crab, a little bit
Cromer crab with a little bit of salad and a baguette.
Yes, just
Can't beat a good Cromer crab.
the quintessential English seaside town.
It really is.
It
isn't
is, yes. Quaint and charming.
I love Cromer.
It is very. Cromer
I do
is a
like
lovely
Cromer.
place. Yeah.
Now, our first haunting tale in Cromer stems from a walk in the graveyard of the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul. This is the tale told by author Walter Rye in his book Cromer Past and Present, which was published in 1889 and name checks the church and the spectre that appeared in the ruins. Now, a caretaker clearing away debris in the ruined churchyard, standing paralysed as an ethereal child rose from the ground, blood pouring down her white clothes from a great gash at her throat, a mournful sigh sounding in his ears as she departs.
Yeah, creepy.
Right.
But of course, we can't talk about Cromer without mentioning its most well-known landmark,
Oh, Cromer Pier.
The pier,
Of
yeah.
course.
You're down on the pier. There's been a pier or jetty at Cromer since 1391. The early jetties were little more than wooden structures for boats to moor onto and unload, or to let people get onto them and stuff. The last wooden jetty was built in 1846. It survived until 1890, when, in a similar fashion to many of the jetties before, it was swept away by a violent storm. We get a lot of these on the East Coast, that had to be said.
Not so much recently.
No, but they're back in the day.
Way back when.
Way back when, blast me,
Yeah,
boy.
in the 1800s, 1900s, there was quite a lot.
Yeah, lots. I mean, there's
lots documented.
Lots of tales of violent storms and boats getting wrecked and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the last wooden jetty swept away by this violent storm in 1890, and for a few years there was nothing there. But in 1901, a 550-foot iron pier was opened, and this structure had to endure a number of disasters itself, being damaged by storms in 1949, 1953, 1976 and 1978. It's great, isn't it? Didn't realise about that many storms on that bit of coastline. In February 1990, gales destroyed the amusement arcade, and on the 14th of November 1993, this is fascinating, a 100-ton oil rig crashed into the pier, isolating the theatre and lifeboat station. Where the hell
Do you know what that
did a
sounds-
100-foot oil rig come from? I think it was actually further out.
Well, they used to bring them in.
They did, yeah.
To do repairs and things like that.
Drop them
didn't they?
offshore. So this one must have pulled its anchors and just got swept ashore.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of disasters with this thing.
I was going to say, yeah, you sort of read through it and see how many times there's been storms and gales.
I'm just looking at the dates, 49, 53, 76, 78, and then 1990, whether there's any kind of, and 1993, whether there's any kind of connection between those numbers. I can't see one. I can't see one, but that might be worth looking into as well.
Yeah, yeah. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Oh, excuse me. I'm still getting over that damn cough I had in the last
bless
podcast.
you. But it's not just tales of disaster that the pier has to tell. It also has its own collection of ghostly stories to share. And the most commonly reported apparition is of an ashen-faced man with black hair and a tall hat, who is thought to be the Irish impresario Dick Condon, referred to his obituary. I knew you were going to snigger as soon as I said that, because what does it sound like?
I know.
Oh, smut alert.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
So, Dick Condon,
Big Condon. That's the man.
referred to in his obituary as the best known, assuredly best loved figures in Norfolk. Several performers have reported seeing him on stage, standing next to them. Others have seen his shadow cast across the theatre, or have heard him laughing in the backstage area. So, we've got Dick Condon laughing backstage area.
We have. Indeed, yeah.
Okay. Smut!
Stop it.
Now, while Nigel chokes,
Oh, God.
I will explain that performers and staff have reported the feeling of being watched in the backstage area, the back corridor, and in particular the dressing room. There is talk of a very intense and oppressive atmosphere occasionally felt in this area. Shadow figures have been seen, and mysterious disembodied laughter, singing, footsteps, taps and bangs have also been heard here and across the theatre.
There's been poltergeist activity in the form of objects moving on their own accord, and bottles and glasses being mysteriously smashed in the bar. Now, the ghostly goings on here. Oh, you know what we're going to say, don't you?
Oh, not again.
They did.
What is it with
They
you
got-
and this TV
I'm sorry, I really
Nige?
can't help it.
God's sake.
It's just one of those things. I just happen to pick on two locations where these
People.
people have been before.
Investigated.
I know.
Well, we know who they are, so they investigated it. So tell us what happened.
But the weird thing is that the psychic guy they had with them picked up this story about this girl called Elizabeth,
Okay.
who had apparently witnessed a killing on the stage.
What, back in the 1920s?
In the 1920s, allegedly,
Okay.
yeah. So they said in the 1920s, she was on the stage acting a part, and either the person was stabbed with a prop knife that was been swapped, so it was a real knife, or had been strangled.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, well, they were doing a sort of scene, and the person got a bit carried away and strangled them.
Oh, lovely.
Now, the weird thing is, okay, in a short space of time, this story's changed.
Oh.
Okay, from her being the witness of the killing to her being the victim of the killing.
Who changed the story?
We don't know. Because now when you read the reports, I was researching this one, and
Surely the death would be documented, though, wouldn't it?
this is it. This is one where you could think from the 1920s,
Yeah.
somebody dying on stage in a theatre, you would think that it would be somewhere
You
on
would.
record. There's no record of it. So you have to ask yourself whether or not it's...
Another one of those.
Exactly. Is it the genuine one, or is it just... yeah.
Well,
I mean, the excuse given was the fact that it was covered up.
Yeah,
And they didn't want
right.
anybody to know. And the girl that was killed wasn't a well-known actress,
Well.
so they covered it up. So
I guess it's possible.
It's possible,
but I would say
but-
probably unlikely.
yeah. But I just love the fact that it's like it started out of one story from a TV program. It's now become a common theme
Yeah.
that people say this event actually happened, and she's now the victim rather than the actual person
Yeah,
that
that's
witnessed it.
interesting.
So it's strange how these stories can change,
Chinese
isn't it?
whispers, that's
Yeah,
what it is.
Indeed, yeah. Anyway, she was killed on stage, and she's said to haunt this place, but you have to sort of question it. But the other things are genuine. Staff still say they hear noises, they hear the laughter, they sense this guy being there as well. So, yeah,
Interesting.
sounds like a fascinating place. Another one that we'd love to investigate. Whether we'll be able to get in there, I don't know.
What, the lifeboat station?
Or the Cromer Pier. Lifeboat
I'd love to do Cromer Pier. Yeah.
The lifeboat station, as you mentioned, is actually further on at the end of the pier, and that's another one I'd love to get into. Do you want to sort of say about that one?
Yeah, sure. Well, witnesses are said to have seen the ghostly figures of lifeboat crewmen heading towards the station, perhaps to launch their boat to rescue the ghostly sailors whose shouts and cries can sometimes be heard as you stand on the pier. I mean, unfortunately, with our lifeboat men, particularly in Norfolk, there has been a lot of loss of life and
Oh, wow.
disasters. I remember, this is going back, I'm an old bird now, but years ago at school, we talked about Caister-on-Sea in Norfolk, and the lifeboat men never turned back.
Never turn back, yeah.
And there was a big loss of life there.
There was, yeah.
You know, and that was their motto, never turn
Never
back.
turn back. Case to men, never turn back.
Never turn back.
And there's actually a pub, the local pub is called the Never Turn Back.
Yeah. So, quite often they'd go out in treacherous waters and never turn back and never come back, poor man.
And when you look at the boats they're actually operating,
Yeah.
there's no engines on there. They row the boats out. Absolutely incredible. And you think how brave those guys must have been to do that. And like you said, there was some horrendous shipwrecks along our coastline.
So it's quite believable, I would think, that,
Yeah.
there could be ghostly sailors.
I was going to say, it's still there, sort of, because there is. I mean, the sea is so tied up in folklore tales. There's so many stories attached to the sea, so many superstitions that go with it.
I mean, obviously, though, back in the day, there were so many shipwrecks as well, because it's very, very rocky, isn't it? Sort of on our side as well. But, last time I was on Winston Beach, we haven't looked into this yet, but I picked up on something happening there.
You did. We're going to have to do this because you
Yeah,
said
do a bit of digging.
something different for us to do is actually go down to the beaches and do an investigation on a beach.
We need to do that.
We need to do it because
We
it'll
will
be
do
different.
that.
We will do it, yeah.
We'll do an investigation.
We will indeed. Okay, now the weird thing, here we go again. This is what I'm saying, a lot of these stories are linked together. It isn't the visiting paranormal team that links them, it's something completely different. We're standing at the end of the pier with the lifeboat station. Look out to sea and imagine yourself standing there 700 years ago, because you wouldn't be looking at the sea. you'd be looking at the village of Shipton juxta Cromere, which is the way of saying Shipton near Cromere.
Yeah.
Okay. Now an echo. It's washed away in the 13th century due to land erosion and the advancing sea. So it's a village that's gone. And we have a lot of these along our coastline.
We do.
Missing villages that have just completely disappeared into the sea. After the village disappeared, it was said that men in rags would sleep on the beach, and at low tides would dive under the waves to pillage anything remaining in the lost village. And shades of these ragged figures have been seen on the beach and on the pier.
Oh, I wonder why. Maybe some of them, oh dear,
Yeah, didn't
after
come
drowning in the sea.
exactly. Didn't come back from their adventures, nicking things out of the village.
It, yeah.
Okay. Over time, very little remained apart from the church tower, known as Church Rock. Okay, and you could see it from the end of the pier. All right. On the 9th of August 1888, a steam-driven pleasure boat named the Victoria ran aground on the rock and started to sink. The ship was abandoned and all passengers and crew managed to escape, thankfully. An attempt was made to rescue the ship, but it proved impossible to move as firmly wedged onto this rock. And in the end, she was finally removed by blowing up the ship and the rock with dynamite.
Oh,
Can you imagine that explosion? That'd have been a
blimey.
big old bugger, wouldn't it? Despite Church Rock being destroyed, they say at night, when the sea is particularly choppy, you can hear the ghostly peals of the bells ringing out. Fishermen believe that the bells' tolls are a warning not to venture into the sea, fearing that they too will meet the same watery fate as the lost village of Shipton. Now, we're going to go a little bit further down the coast on our journey because just a few miles away is another seaside town or village that's disappeared into the sea. So, Jules, do you want to tell the story?
So this is the story of Eccles next the sea. And swallowed by the ever-advancing sea, most of the ancient village of Eccles-on-Sea is now completely underwater or beneath the sand we walk on today. On one occasion, the sand was scoured away by a storm, and visitors to the beach were treated to the sight of skeletons in the sand, the occupants of the graveyard attached to St Mary's Church. In fact, St Mary's Church was one of the last survivors of the village lost to the North Sea. Now some say you can still, once again, hear its bells ringing underwater as you sail by. Now, in May 1930, Lieutenant Commander R.N.A. Brooks, the captain of HMS Boyne, reported hearing a bell at around 9:30 a.m. close to Eccles, and having heard about the stories in Dunwich of underwater bells, he wrote to the EDP.
When abreast of sea Palling at about 9:30 a.m, I very plainly heard one stroke of a deep-toned bell. Have any of your readers heard any superstitions of Eccles Church bells being heard at sea?
Read his letter. Now, Britain is surrounded by the ghosts of its sunken cities, both real and imagined. Dunwich, not to be confused with H.P. Lovecraft's fictional Massachusetts setting of the same name, is a small village in Suffolk with a population a little under 200 people. Looking at its forlorn, windswept cliffs and lonely ruins, it's not hard to believe that Dunwich is one of the most haunted spots in Suffolk.
The lost town of Dunwich itself lies far beneath the waves of the North Sea, 50 foot below the surface and up to a mile out from the beach, along which visitors walk today. In its watery tomb lie 8 churches whose bells can be heard ringing out during storms. Here's the connection that we have with these places. I love it. 5 houses of religious orders, so we're looking at monasteries here, 2 hospitals and 3 chapels. illustrating what an important centre Dunwich once was with its bustling port and royal charter. It's actually said that Dunwich town itself was the size of London. It was a massive, massive town. Yeah,
it's amazing, isn't it? Just
really,
to think
yeah.
it's all underwater.
It's
now.
gone, yeah, all gone.
Yeah.
Incredible.
There's undoubtedly an eerie feeling around what's left of the village of Dunwich, especially so around the ruins of the Greyfriars Monastery, situated on the south side of the village and home to around 20 monks in its heyday in the late 13th century. It appears that maybe a few of them never left when the monastery was dissolved by Henry VIII, with reports of ghostly monks seen wandering around the ruins at night.
Unexplained lights have been seen from within the wooded area near the cliff edge just by the monastery itself. Some have suggested that the lights serve a sinister purpose, an attempt to lure souls to walk beyond the cliff edge and meet their maker. Not that dissimilar to the lantern men tale we told in one of our previous podcasts.
Yes, I love that story, the lantern
men. Oh, the lights there, go to the cliff. Ah!
Now, Greyfriars also has a link, another link.
Here we go.
To the terrifying hellhound said to have terrorised the area in the 16th century, the Black Shuck. I wrote an article about that years ago.
You're going to have to find that because we'll put that on our Substack.
The devil dog, Shuck, which he's known locally as, is said to have run through the grounds of Greyfriars in 1926, striking fear into the heart of a young woman who witnessed it.
Fascinating. And he's all up and down the coast.
Oh, yeah.
Shuck loves the coast.
And it's at the bottom as well. Goes all the way down.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It's a story we're going to have to tell.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We will. Yeah. Just before the gate into Greyfriars Friary. Wow, that's a hard one to say. It's on the left, look out for a single gravestone in undergrowth behind the fence to your right.
Why?
Take a close look at this mossy gravestone, which clings bravely to the edge of the cliff. You can just make out the inscription in memory of Jacob Forster, who departed this life on March the 12th, 1796, aged 38 years. So you're asking, what the hell is a solitary grave doing on the edge of a cliff?
Well, I would think it's because the rest of it's all disappeared.
You're spot on. The surprising answer is that you're actually standing in what was once part of the churchyard. This gravestone once dressed in the churchyard of one of medieval Dunwich's parish churches, All Saints. The church building, all of its coffins, gravestones and bones have been lost to the sea, all except this one gravestone. And there's a corner of the church that they rescued, and it's now on the grounds of the church a bit further inland.
So poor little fellow, his little skeleton person just gripping there, holding on.
He's there. On the edge, the last man left in that cemetery.
Little chap, eh?
Yeah.
In fact, you can find pictures of the skeletal remains of the graveyard inhabitants if you search carefully. They could be found littering the beach or seen protruding gruesomely out of the cliff. We even managed to find some bones for sale, presented in a nice glass case for the collector to enjoy.
That stunned me when I found that. I was like, what the hell?
Wouldn't it be lovely just to have some bones of someone, by your fireplace, just resting
It was
there?
like the advert said, bones found on Dunwich Beach, possibly human, presented in a nice glass case. I'm like, really?
You see, that's when you could get problems with hauntings as well.
Exactly. You wouldn't.
No.
You wouldn't, which leads us on to the next bit. Very nicely, young Juliette there.
Go on then, so tell us all about it.
Picked up the brilliant thing here, okay. So like Jules said, resist if you can, picking up any curious flints or objects that you find here and taking them home.
Yeah.
In Oh Whistle and I'll Come to You, My Lad, M.R. James' eerie ghost story, an academic who refuses to believe in ghosts digs up a bone whistle found in All Saints graveyard at Dunwich.
I love this story.
Blows the whistle and summons a spirit. So it's fantastic the fact that the M.R. James story is attached to that.
I saw there's actually a TV, like a mini film made of that.
There is a really good adaptation of it.
I've seen it and it's really, really good.
It is really, really creepy. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
That is a classic M.R. James tale as well.
I loved it.
Really scary. So yeah, you're right. There's no way I'd want to take home bones from that beach. Absolutely no way.
No, or flint or a whistle.
Or anything at all. Yeah.
certainly not a bone whistle, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, in the ruined leper chapel in the grounds of the church, people claim to have also seen white shapes flitting around there at night. So, what do you think? Could they be the ghosts of the lepers, perchance?
Yeah, you see lepers again. We had lepers at West Somerton, and here they are here. Yeah, so interesting.
But they were saying, weren't they seen as religious people?
They were seen as monks. Yeah, which they would have been because they lived a monastic lifestyle.
We've always historically thought of them as people to, be revered or avoided, and oh my God, But people actually did respect them, didn't they?
Because it was seen as a holy disease. Yeah, because it originated from the Holy Land. Yeah. Lepers were seen to be people that had gone on a crusade, caught the disease, so they were venerated.
But it just seems weird to me that you have that side to it, and then you have places where, you have the leper colonies and they would just abandon them and stuff. And
yeah.
It was kind of...
really odd. Yeah.
They were respected and hated at the same time.
Exactly, yeah.
Strange.
It was such an awful illness, that's the thing, because it disfiguring is the best way to describe it. And it would mess your face up, bits of your hands and things would fall off. I mean, it was just a horrible illness.
I remember, this is going back a few years now, when I visited Venice, and I remember... as we came in on the boat, you could see these little islands and ruins of the leper colonies and ruins of the buildings where they just dumped them.
That's fact, those islands offshore. Yeah. This is really brilliant because this is where the actual phrase quarantine comes from. It's a Venetian term saying that they would leave them out there for 4 weeks. And you would come into port, and if your ship was plagued or there was diseased people on board, they would make them stay on these islands for 4 weeks. Yeah. And survivors then would be allowed into Venice. And it's the only way they could then maintain the safety of Venice to stop the plague actually getting into the city itself. So, yeah. Creepy stuff.
So that's it about lepers. But what happens, Nigel, when you venture down to the beach?
Well, if you wander down onto the beach, you may be treated to the sight of a brightly dressed young Elizabethan sailor boy.
Sailor boy?
Oh, what a saying. Hello, sailor. Stop it. Oh, no,
Sailor boy.
That's naughty, isn't it? I've got to be careful what I say here.
Yes.
Anyway, this young sailor boy is seen walking along the beach, and sometimes he's been witnessed climbing into a phantom boat and rowing away.
Away where?
Oh, out to sea, I presume, to go and join his ship that may be offshore.
Sailor went to sea,
to see what he could see, and all that he could see.
Was the bottom of the deep blue sea?
See.
I hope not.
Indeed. No, he might be, actually.
Others have spoken of seeing apparitions and hearing the sounds of grazing cows and sheep along the shoreline. Listen very carefully, and you may also hear the ghostly laughter of disembodied children on the beach.
What a curious collection.
I know.
Moos and bars and kids. Strange.
Yeah, all at once.
Creepy.
Sure,
Well, they're saying the beach actually itself, they said, was where that part of the foreshore actually would have been like where the meadows and things were, where they would sort of graze their animals. So,
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I actually wonder whether the kids are like kids from the past that are like enjoying their time on the beach.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, quite
Then
possibly.
again, possibly not. Okay. Even the local pub, the Ship Inn, has a story to tell. It's said to be home to a ghost in the attic room. A previous owner of the pub reported that she once woke up in the depths of the night to find a ghostly figure sitting at the end of her bed. She is said to have watched the figure vanish into one of the walls. Renovation work years later on the pub uncovered a previously hidden door behind the wall which the ghost is thought to have disappeared through, as well as another room attached to the pub of which the landlord had no previous knowledge.
Ooh, so that sounds to me like a residual haunting.
It's a residual, isn't it? Definitely. Yeah, it's sort of gone through the door that was there and into the room that's there that no one else knew about. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. So, in The Rings of Saturn, W.G. Sebald's book describing his journey through East Anglia, he wrote, Dunwich, with its towers and many thousand souls, has dissolved into water, sand and thin air. If you look out across the sea towards where the town must have been, you can sense the immense power of emptiness.
Yeah.
And it is a strange place. Have you been there?
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're going to have to go and investigate, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to do it,
Yeah.
won't we?
I mean, we have kept over the border. This is Suffolk, so... But
we can sneak over the border.
We can.
We can be rebels, can't we?
We can indeed. Why not?
Now, the macabre folklore, the dark heart of Dunwich, tells of a local maiden with a broken heart who haunts the area around the beach, searching for her lost love. The legend tells of how Eva, a Dunwich maiden due to be married to the son of a local landowner, fell instead for a good-looking local cad who had his way with her and then deserted her, running off to sea.
What a surprise.
Right. After waiting in vain for her lost love to return, she cut out her heart and hurled it into the sea. Hang on a minute. I'm going, how can you cut out your heart, still be alive to hurl it into the sea? I wouldn't have thought that's probably possible.
That would be quite difficult, wouldn't it?
I would think so.
Although I have seen chickens that have had their heads chopped off keep on running.
Yeah, but that's slightly different because that's just like the nerves finishing off doing
That's
what
true,
they're programmed to do.
Hang about it, yeah.
But anyway.
It was a local folklore tale.
Yeah. But according to the legend, she was unable to die and still haunts the area, particularly around the constantly shifting beach, where the land meets the sea. The heart itself, believed to be similar in appearance to a wooden heart, is believed to wash up occasionally and bring great misfortune onto anyone who picks it up and keeps it. Folks, if you come across something that looks like a wooden heart, leave it alone. All right? If you go to the beach and you see a beating heart or a woman ripping a heart out or anything like that, okay, walk away, walk the other way, look the other way. Don't pick it up. Don't get excited. Please don't take it home.
Stand well clear. You know, it's all warnings tonight, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Don't pick up bone whistles.
Yeah.
Don't pick up wooden hearts.
I know.
Scary stuff. Don't go towards the lights on the edge of the cliff. Right. There you
Don't go
go.
swimming.
Indeed.
Because of the currents.
Yeah.
Just don't go to the beach.
Keep away from the beach. If this is what we're going to say now, okay, for all those people who don't come from Norfolk, don't come here.
Oh, no.
Don't come to our beaches. Stay well away.
No.
What's the plan?
No, it's not the plan.
Well, if I said it, that would stop them coming, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's nice to meet people. I know it's kind of Norfolk and we don't like outsiders.
But they take up so much space on the beach.
Oh, I know. And all the rubbish as well.
I know.
Why don't they just
So we
put
could
their
discourage them.
rubbish in
This
the
was the
bin?
plan, wasn't it?
Oh, God, are we still recording,
No,
Nigel?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
God.
Anyway, where were we? Yes, like we were saying, don't pick up anything strange on the beach.
Yeah.
Because
Be
there's
careful.
no telling.
Especially round these parts, boy.
Like me, Bo, you never
Yeah.
know what you're getting on Norfolk
Just
beaches.
watch it. Be a bit careful, all right?
I like going to the beach and picking things up, though.
Well,
Sea glass.
sea glass is
I
lovely.
love sea glass,
Sea glass is
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
It's getting harder and harder to find, though.
It
isn't
is, yeah. Don't so much on our beaches. Very sad.
Well, you've got a collection of sea glass.
I have
haven't
got a
you?
collection of sea glass, yes.
Well, you haven't done anything with it yet.
I have. Well, I made you a
Oh,
heart.
you did. I love that. I've
Thank
still
you
got
very
it.
much. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Look, it's still. Let me show you. Here, I keep it here on my little glasses case. Look,
Oh, yeah.
little heart. Look, my little sea glass that you made for me.
There we
yeah,
go.
still got it.
Yeah.
Still got it here, and I've got some quartz here as well.
Oh, yeah.
Keep that with me.
We need that.
Yeah, indeed.
So
Anyway.
there we go.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. It's not as giggly as we usually are
I
tonight.
know we've been sort of well behaved this time,
Yeah,
haven't
we
we?
behaved ourselves
I
once.
did sort of try and find amusing things. I mean, there was the back corridor and Dick Condon and
Yeah,
all
well, I
that.
thought you'd find
exactly.
that a bit of a giggle.
Sniggering in the background, and then trying to find words that Jules couldn't say. And I did only have that sort of Wayborn one,
You
but
do that to me.
I love
You're
it.
mean.
Yeah, but the audience expects it.
Oh, I know.
But we love, I mean, we said at the start of this, we love the beach.
Yeah.
Really, really love the beach. And there's so many fantastic stories from around our coastline. I think we're going to come back and tell some more.
We've got loads to
Because
tell.
we've got absolutely loads to tell.
There's
yeah.
so many hauntings
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, so
and
many fascinating
we've got
tales.
to look at Winterton and see, because, yeah, see what I picked up down there.
We'll go there.
Let's do it.
We'll investigate Winterton.
Yes.
We'll investigate Dunwich.
Put our thermals on and head down to the beach.
We will indeed.
Yeah.
And we'll also go and pester Chroma Pier.
Pester Chroma Pier.
Yeah, see if we can get on there as well.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It's worth a try, isn't it?
What about the lifeboat station?
Yeah. We could try that one too.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they used to have a man telling ghost stories in there, so...
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Who was that then?
Well, I don't know what his name was, but I just remember seeing it advertised.
okay.
So it's worth a go.
Oh, it's worth an ask, isn't
We'll
it?
give it a try.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Indeedy deeds. Well, there we go.
That's it. Well, thank you for putting up with us once again. I
Yeah.
hope it wasn't too painful.
Yeah, but we shared information this time.
Oh, he's off again.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
I really hope next podcast I've got rid of this.
Now he's pipping. What's
Oh, well,
pipping?
it's my computer's telling me
Oh,
things.
it's the Mac, isn't it?
Honestly.
Good old Mac.
It's telling my contact password is required and my Google password is required. I don't know why it's telling me that.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mine does the same. It's obviously a Mac thing.
It is a Mac thing.
Annoying. Just Macs are annoying.
Don't diss my Mac.
I have a Mac, but I still find them annoying.
I know.
Team PC.
No. No. I'm holding up a crucifix.
I know.
Get back with your PC. Anyway, that's it from us.
It is indeed.
We'll be back again soon
We will.
with another story. God knows what it'll be next time.
I've got some ideas. God help you.
I know, you gave me a list of them. I've seen that list that you've actually put on our notes. And I'm like, oh no.
We need to cover off UFOs. We haven't done that yet.
Well, we talked about this one earlier on, didn't we?
We did.
And I think that
We
might
did.
be a good
Bit
one.
more cryptozoology is on the list.
We honestly, I really got to get in touch with Richard Freeman and get him on.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, because we need to talk. We need to talk to an expert.
Yeah, we do.
We do. We need to
Really
get
do.
a guest. Yes, someone who knows what they're talking about rather than us. Who don't, as you may obviously have heard. Anyway, so there's only one thing left for us to do, really.
Yeah.
If you want to keep up with the strange things that we do, we have our lovely website, which is at www.outtheregroup.net. We also appear on
Facebook,
Twitter.
Instagram.
We have a Substack newsletter now.
We do.
Yeah.
You've done all that. You've been working really hard.
I've been working really hard, yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
Bless you.
There is some articles going to appear on there very soon.
Yeah.
I've
I need to get my bottom together and do something to help.
No, but you've been working hard on other things,
Well,
haven't you? So, yeah. Real life, unfortunately, has sort of taken a lot of your time, but things are going to get better, so
Yeah.
that's the most
I know a
important
song
thing.
about that.
know.
Things can
They get better. We're singing a lot tonight.
Yeah, we've been singing all night, haven't we?
You
I know.
better go,
Yeah.
before they hear any more of us singing.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Don't want to
Exactly.
hear us singing.
So,
So it's good night from me.
and it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night. Sleep tight.
See you soon.